Number 1B, the villain.
This villain is horrible. Really bad. As we explained earlier, he makes no sense and really serves to take a lot of tension out of the game. If someone this stupid is the only threat you really have, then you're in for an easy ride. He's not evil, he's not twisted, he's just obscenely dumb. So here's what we wanted to see.
I guess this is another person from Extraction, so we needed some background info, as supplied in the intro we described. Got that out of the way. Now, we only truly know people by their actions. This guy has a way of being dumb. He obeys orders blindly.
Haha, puns. I love them.
He values orders over friends. He assumes things that are possibly far from truth. He shoots and misses, etc. He was boring, bland, and just a crappy villain. Dead Space is known for twists, and this really didn't have one. Why not make the main villain a twist, like that one time they did in the previous game?
The best-selling previous game? Have this guy as his CO, like we said before. Have him guide Gabe, not harass him. Have him be the one voice of reason, you know, the light and the darkness. Instead of having a dropship assault him, have one of the big transports crash near him, and have a ton of necromorphs pour out. Then Gabe has to take hints from him to destroy it. Be a true friend and tell him to not go over there, to just let his wife go. But then Gabe refuses, and the CO reluctantly helps. While Gabe romps to the hospital, have all sorts of bad shit happen, odd malfunctions. Necromorphs getting in, doors locking, and the CO says each time that he can't help for some reason or another.
Then Gabe reaches his wife, and they have a trap set up, waiting for him. Gabe's on the other side of a locked, transparent door. The CO is leading several men, some welding open the door to his wife's cell. Why couldn't you have just left well enough alone? Why did you have to come here? I told you to stay away. He explains that he can't let his wife live. Tideman tasked him with eliminating her, and if he doesn't, his family doesn't get evacuated. Then the unitologists show up.
They argue, and then they stasis everybody. For his insolence, the CO's eyes are bulged out with stasis or whatever magic crap. And then he is released to scream and writhe on the floor, yelling in protest. The unitologists open the door, take her out, and look at you and say, "We may have use for you later, if you survive." And then they leave and they open the door for the necromorphs. And then the lights flicker out as the first people that are still stasis are torn into, helpless to act.
Where am I at?
Then you make your way to the end.
Then you make your way to the end. The unitologists are there, and you get into a fight. Somehow you resist the eye explosion thingy and fight them. However, they're magicians, so they're winning. And as you're about to die, Friendo CO shows up and shoots one of them through the heart with the plasma cutter he had. But he's wounded gravely, so he can't get the second guy. The other one gets up ready to fight, but you punch the shit out of him and then shoot him.
And CO looks at you and it's like, "Drop it, Gabe." I'm like, "Shit!" And then Gabe drops his gun, and Gabe's like, imploring him to come with him, that they can save his family together. And it's like, "No, Gabe, there's no time for that. If they don't hear that she's dead in the next 5 minutes, they're pulling out of that sector. I'm sorry."
And then you fight like you did in the live DLC. But while you're wrestling with the grenade, he yells, "What about my family?" And you respond, "What about mine?" Explosion. Alamo.
Once again, here's a list of what this did in comparison to the real thing. Number 1.
Made the villain human, not some machine who's bent on doing something stupid for no reason other than to do it. He now has reason and logic and isn't an idiot. Number 2.
It further cemented the fact that the government and the church are separate and opposed. Number 3.
It made the player experience a fear of being killed, helpless, in stasis. Number 4.
It gets Dead Space to allow you to realize the horror of absolute desperation, when it's you or them. Number 5.
A much-needed twist to an otherwise straightforward plot. A homage of Kendra, if you will.
If you will.
If you...
Anyway, that's all they really had to do to fix the plot. That's all the plot that was there.
Number 2. Old shit we've seen before.
Severed has a lot of moments you've seen before. Things that are easily predictable because we've seen them so many times. Here's a few. The "I'm going to die while talking" angle. This poor bastard can't hope but to die when he's looking at us like that. It's classic. Happens all the times in these games. It's old. He's the first Twitcher, but this entrance is boring. Here's a better one.
Okay, you're in this big mining room for multiplayer. Okay. So he's at this angle and he doesn't die. Please. So you meet up with him and he explains power surges from failing generators. He can't fix them alone, so he needs you to go with him or you can't open the door. All you need to do is flip the switch while he's in there. He just can't reach it in time with his bad leg. You both run there and open the door. The guy looks back at you and he's like, "Right through here."
Keep in mind that this room is pitch black. As soon as he looks back through the door, he gets impaled through his face. And then he gets drug inside the door, and all the lights go out. The entire place is now pitch black darkness. There are lots of crunching sounds from the necromorphing, the necromorphing, you know. I don't know with the little bird thing. Yeah, the little spike thing. Anyway, you hear that sound, and then a vent blows out inside the room, and you're like likely still looking at the door because you're like, oh shit, I'm not going in there. But then there wasn't the vent in the room. That one was already blown out. You just don't know it. And then a Twitcher with his flashlight helmet runs flailing at you on a random, non-linear attack pattern at you. Then more come out of nowhere. And when they're all dead, you have to fix the generator yourself and move on.
So what does that do for Severed? It makes it less boring, less predictable, something we haven't seen in Dead Space yet. On to the next one. Failed cat scares. When Gabe walks up these things, where they just like hiss out steam, they're supposed to scare you? Scared? No? No surprise? These things suck!
There's a difference between the ones in this game and the ones in the first. The ones in the first game are good. But why? Because they were fast, and they always made you think that they were lethal, even when they weren't. Remember that door? Or the bodies that flew out through the hallway when the side of the wall exploded? They lulled you to comfort with the pacing, and then they blasted you into something that made you jump.
These, on the other hand, aren't lethal. They just aren't well paced. They're predictable. You can compare the old ones to these with a cat jumping at you to a cat sneezing.
So how could you make these cat scares a little better? Just make them faster and make them seem lethal, like the door. Shing! It almost killed you, but it didn't. Bingo! That's what you wanted. Number 3. Useless shit they throw at us. It's almost a trademark of these kind of expansions to throw tons of crap at you in arenas like this. They're not scary, they're not difficult, they're just simply sucking up ammo, and they annoy the hell out of you as they die in droves.
It's like Visceral didn't have time to really put effort into where to put the enemies. They were just like, put that fat fuck there, then put one of those annoying ass shit leapers coming out of there, then just have nothing but pukers come out of the same fucking vent to slow down and annoy the fuck out of people. Or this part of the game, right before you get through the door to get to the chick face, they send endless waves of just stalkers and the pack. As cool as these enemies are, or used to be, it just gets super annoying because all you want to do is get this hell of a whole game to end. But no, it doesn't end there.
But I was having so much fun. So what could have made this better then? Once more, pacing. The pacing in Severed is equivalent to a train wreck slamming into a school bus. But don't worry, the only things inside are children. But don't worry, they're zombie children. This is Dead Space, people. Not once did they send enemies at you at the right time. For example, let's look at the beginning. So, we didn't have an introduction, but they could have at least put enemies in this area. When the game starts, you have this sense that bad shit has just gone down. Dude face yells at chick face to get the fuck out of there, and then we hear a roar of some monster in the background, and nothing happens. There's nothing in this room but random, awkwardly appropriated, annoying-ass necromine things. Hold that off on the spot. If you ever run into one of these things in Severed, quote unquote, I'm sorry, but you're a fucking retard, says Batman.
What should have been done is when we're done talking to Chickface, enemies should have swarmed you at the ass. This would have been an acceptable time to throw random shit at us. It would have set the pace, engaged us quickly, and drawn us into the story that was still disappointing. But no, every fucking time you see a big room, wonder what's gonna go on here. Haven't seen an enemy for the past 2 minutes. Maybe they won't have anything to do. Oh shit, didn't see that one coming.